So of our 8 here today, we're missing Kevin and Chantel. So we will go. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. What's that? I don't know what the rules are. So hey, Morgan, we were just asked a question. Do we keep these on while we're up here?
They can take them off once they're on the dais.
Okay. I'll do that.
Yes, unless you want to keep them on.
Right.
Unless you're more comfortable with doing this.
I wonder how we feel about that.
All right. Did everybody have a chance to? Yeah, that's up to you guys. If you want to spread out.
We're holding hands. I'm moving over.
Yeah. Did everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from January 12th? If they did, do we have any questions or comments about those?
I do. I was reviewing the notes regarding the taste of Alpharetta, and I think the notes left off where it was decided between doing 2 in a fiscal year or not. But I thought the reason we weren't going to do it is because of resource capacity. There was already planned events at the end of the year already, like Scarecrow Harvest and all that, and that was the reason. There was just the amount of people that was needed to allocate that to a different event would be the challenge, not the financial piece. But I didn't see that reflected in the notes, and I was wondering if people remembered it that way to amend the notes as such.
I remember that being part of the discussion. I don't remember what was in the minutes. You want me to get them up really fast?
I can.
It didn't mention the resource constraint. It just mentioned it twice in a fiscal year. And I thought was my memory of it.
There was a mention, I think, that twice in the fiscal year would be too much.
Right.
Right.
So rather than being, if it didn't look like we were going to be able to do it this spring. So the suggestion was just to, I read it, just bypass it.
The outcome was the same. We'd wait till next year, skip the year, but I thought the reason was because of you'd have too many events in a short amount of time in the last quarter, I guess.
That's the biggest reason is just the squishing of the calendar for the single event.
Right.
And you're not doing it annually, you're doing it twice a year in one time frame.
Okay.
That talks about resources and capabilities and capacities and all those things. That's the biggest issue.
So that's why I was hoping to have the meeting minutes amended to add that portion.
Okay. How do you want it amended?
I'd like it to, sure, I don't know. To amend it to state that in addition, due to calendar complexities and the number of people required for a single event, it'd be difficult to resource in a small time frame.
Okay. We can do that. Morgan, do we have anyone are you taking the notes, Morgan? Thank you.
It's being recorded too.
Okay.
It's being recorded.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, we will amend the minutes with the minutes amended. Will be amended. Can we approve the rest of the minutes from last meeting?
I'll make a
Alden?
motion that we approve with the amendment.
Yeah, you want to approve with the amendment?
Second.
Can I get a motion?
She did.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Tonight, we do not have any old business, and we don't have any new business. The people from Brewable were going to come and talk to us about their program, but they couldn't make it tonight, so our partner association segment is not going to happen tonight. So I think they were planning, they will be our next partner association here, and we'll talk about it then. So we're going to go right in and let's see. Yeah, we're going to go right into our division reports. If Amanda?
Hello, everybody. Give me just a moment to get this pulled up, please.
I've got the fancy screen if I can work it.
How are you doing?
Great. How's everybody doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Great. So a quick update from the Community Services Division. Last weekend was the Alpharetta Rotary's Polar Plunge, which was cold. We didn't have the snow that we had last year, but we did have snow machines, so that was great. And I wanted to make you guys aware that the farmers market, we have received their application for the new year for 2021, and they've proposed some extended to extend the season by 6 additional Saturdays to go from April 3rd until December 12th.
Wow.
So the application is not approved, but I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. It'd be great. It would extend the farmers market, and they always do a winter market. There would just not be that break in November.
So this would include the winter's market?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Won't that interfere with a lot of the stuff that you do downtown in the fall? Like, because we can't have Taste of Alpharetta in the fall because we're very busy downtown?
So there would be some overlap, but the farmers market is done by 1, and like our wire and wood, for example, doesn't start until 5 p.m. So it'd be a lot of activity going on, but the farmers market was already happening then anyway. Really, the time that would be extended is in November, and we don't have a lot of events in my division. We don't have events going on in November, so there's not much.
Oh, I felt like they had those football games, the grill and whatever, something.
Those have always happened at the same time. That happens at the end of September. And so that happens when the farmers market is going on anyway.
Right.
Yeah, so we don't see that there'd be much of a conflict at all. On the marketing front, our summer guide is coming out next week. And from a marketing perspective, that's going to be featured in Atlanta Parent Magazine, Macaroni Kids, Alpharetta Moms blogs, and then Appin Papers are doing a summer camp issue, which we've gotten our summer programs featured in that. So we're hoping to, and we're doing a whole summer campaign this year. So we're putting a lot of energy behind that from a marketing perspective. Regarding our agriculture program, I'm really excited. I was hoping that I would be able to announce 100 members. I told Morgan last week that any day now he's going to get that call from me. We're at 91 members for 2021.
That is great.
So that's huge. Last year we were hovering around 74, 75. We're at 91 right now, and it's still February. So we're thrilled about that. And we do, looking historically, we do get a few more members that join as people start thinking about gardening come April timeframe, March and April. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll be to 100 by next month, and I can celebrate that with you guys. Our Cambridge High School students, that's the photo there in the middle. The students are consistently selling their produce boxes. They're selling out consistently each week. And since the start of this school year, their gross sales are $2,066. So you guys know that money all goes to scholarships for them. They're seniors, so they split it evenly amongst themselves for school next year. We spend Tuesday and Friday mornings with the students from 8 to 9:30, and with the really cold weather that we've had, we're also now meeting them Friday afternoons from 3 to 4:30. Because on Friday mornings when they harvest for those boxes, it's just too cold. The spinach is encased in ice. You can't touch it. And so we've gone to an afternoon harvest. But in the mornings, we've got them in the greenhouse where it's nice and warm.
How do they get the boxes out then if they don't harvest them until the afternoon?
They have informed their customers, and their customers now come for pickup at 4:30. So it's all learning. They had to communicate. They had to send out emails, and it's been great. We launched our Grow Row program. I've shared this with you guys as a concept quite a few months ago, and now we have launched it. This is a program, we expanded the production field by an additional 7 rows. And the concept behind the Alpharetta Grow Row program is that we recruit volunteers to take over one of those rows entirely. And as of today, we have 14 rows. They are 7 85-foot rows that we've divided in half, so 14 rows. We have 12 out of 14 already adopted by community members, so that's really exciting. We just launched it last Monday. So We haven't even put it on, you know, and we haven't used a lot of our marketing tools yet, so I'm really, really happy about that. And we have 2 orientations scheduled, so we will bring our new members, because they're all new. We don't have any of our garden members adopting a row. We don't have any of our CSA members. It's all new people to the program, which is also really exciting to me. One of the students' parents has adopted a row, but everyone else is new, so that's exciting. Asparagus is in. We've been working to get asparagus at the farm for 2 years now. We planted 100 crowns of asparagus last week, and then we distributed 400 crowns to our members. So we sent a note out to everyone and said, if you want 10 crowns, come and get them. It's an investment because it takes 2 years to be able to even harvest the asparagus. So this is something that now 40 of our residents will have in their backyards growing, which is exciting to us. Our chicken coop is in development. The talked about Rucker Farm chicken coop that we've been talking about for a couple of years now is in the process of being constructed. The lumber has been delivered to the farm. We were actually able to reclaim some lumber from some of the unused structures both at Rucker and at the Mayfield property, which we'll be able to use to build the coop. So that's great from an environmental perspective as well as a financial perspective. And then once we complete this chicken coop, we plan to launch a similar program like the Grow a Row program, where we recruit community members to take on chicken duty for a day of the week or a week of the month, and then they'll get their share of the eggs as well. Our spring classes and events are doing really great. We just had a fruit tree pruning class, and Nate Hand, our department's arborist, taught the class for us. It was great. That's the picture right there where you see people standing apart, learning from Nate. He taught how to prune fruit trees. In February, we're really focused on bees. We were surprised. We sold out of our mason bee class. We were surprised at the interest in that. But we have a waiting list for that one. And then on February 27th, we're going to do a class on swarm trapping. So a lot of people get really nervous when they see a swarm of bees in a tree or on the side of their house or sometimes on their car. So we want to educate people about what to do when you see that swarm. Definitely don't get out the can of Raid. That would not be, but we don't want people to do that. Then in March, we're doing a Farm to Fork mini cooking series. This is for children, and we're partnering with the Rec Department's Health and Wellness program. We're really excited about that, and we've got people signing up. It's a 4-part series, and we've got people signing up for all 4, which is very exciting. And lastly, our first community agriculture member event is February 20th, where we'll be doing our annual seed distribution. And then March 20th, we'll be passing out our seedlings. So if you happen to come by, you'll see our greenhouse is completely full. Every square inch of space is full right now with trays of seedlings, and it smells great in there. And the last thing that I'm going to share with you guys is a sweet message that I got from Becca Raymond, who is one of the amazing people on my team. She helped me out with some volunteers. I had double booked myself, and I had volunteers at the farm and a Zoom call that I had to be on at the same time. So she came out and worked with the volunteers on Monday. And then she sent me this message in the afternoon, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. She said, when I was working with the young mother yesterday, she was pushing the wheelbarrow and abruptly stopped and dropped her mask and looked at me. And I thought, uh-oh, something's wrong. And then she said, this makes me so happy to be here. I didn't realize I needed this in my life so much. So nature heals, and it helps us all. So
That's great.
just wanted to share.
Thanks.
Great.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Casey.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good. We've been busy out at Wills Park. You can tell through one of our parts of our master plan was working through that main spine coming from the back of the community center, heading down past the baseball fields towards Wacky World. So we continued that plan, and we had some raised beds that were in that area. and they had some golden rain trees in there. That's not the place where golden rain trees wanted to live. So we've slowly been removing them over the years. So we actually had the idea of taking a couple of those planters. We actually took out 4 of them and replaced them with sod. So it really kind of opens up that upper field plaza area. So it's a lot more open. It's going to be a lot nicer for user experience in that area. Also one of the other planter beds we had taken out, and we actually repurposed 2 bleachers from over at Union Hill Hockey Rink. And so now those live between field 7 and 8. So they sit back to back, they're elevated, provide an awesome view of both the fields. It is really transformed that area. It's going to be awesome. We're going to add some shade over those bleachers just so you're not getting cooked in the summer. So,
Is there gonna be any other shade on that plaza? Because that was the advantage to those trees, is that they did offer some shade.
well, the trees weren't there. So, and they haven't been there for years. And we had put some knockout roses in there, and they just did kind of reach their end. So we figured that would be the best way to basically open up that area, and then it also provides us, if we ever want to go in there and add any additional items there, we could just pull the sod up. So we're not dealing with concrete. We didn't want pour concrete. So we were working with AYBA, and we were able to add 180 feet of safety netting on first base line of field 4. So that's the turf field. So as you're walking up, you're not catching a ball in the face. So AYBA funded that project, which is, like I said, definitely boosts the safety in that area. Opening day for baseball scheduled for March 6th, if you can believe it. So
Do you
we're
know what
less than a month
time
away.
What time are they gonna start the festivities?
I will let you know
Okay.
the details when I get it, and we'll forward that out.
It's always
we'll
fun.
forward that out to the commission so we can all be there. I know we enjoy seeing
So
you
they
there
have
every year.
tryouts and everything already.
Yes, ma'am.
How'd they do? Did you have any idea how the enrollment is?
I believe they're right on par for as they were last year. So their numbers, they've done a really good job of promoting their program. So horse shows are still happening at the Equestrian Center every weekend. We actually had some maintenance issues that we were taking care of. We have 3-board PVC fence that runs around all the arenas and some of the common areas. Coming over the winter months, that catches all kinds of, with all the water, just mildew, and they just look, crummy. So we went through and had those pressure washed. We also had some stalls that we ended up replacing about 67 boards that were broken or damaged in the barn area. So that's just an ongoing thing, but we got some help doing that. As my staff added over 100 tons of arena footing just to replenish the footings in the horse arenas. So
What's the material?
we use a combination of M10, which is a crushed stone dust, and a washed river sand. So it's a real coarse river sand that's washed, takes the clay content down so it's not as dusty, and so you don't get that real red look. So it lasts, and yeah, it's
I was
pretty
just
durable.
curious.
For the money, that's our best, that's our best use of that material. So, but that's it.
Any questions for Matt? No, thank you.
I got more pictures, I believe. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right. Now you can see what I was talking about. So those are the planter beds before, on the top right, top left, it just opens the area up. Really kind of looks a little bit more picturesque.
So the trees along the side are still there?
Yes, ma'am. No, we didn't take out any that weren't already removed. You can see the bottom right, that's that bleacher area. That used to be a planter bed that also didn't have anything in it. So they were just raised, and those beds were 12 foot by 30 feet. So that's a lot of real estate when you start talking 5 of them. And then as you're walking up to the upper fields in the middle, that's the existing view. Bottom left, those were those planters with those knockouts in there. So it really
Wow, it does open it up, doesn't it?
Does open it up.
It opens it up, yeah.
And there you go. So top right, you're looking at a winter's worth of work on those PVC fencing. To the left, you can see that's an after. And then the safety netting on fill 4. So it really turned out really well. We're very pleased with it. So, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey.
Hey.
I don't have a lot to report on tonight. It's kind of our downtime. If we have a downtime during the year, it's downtime, but we're starting to get into gear for summer, so we're looking forward to that. Just a couple of things that's happening in recreation services. Spring registration is open for residents, and open registration starts on February 17th for non-residents. And our activities start the second week of March. Along with that, we also have youth sports that is starting up, like Matt mentioned, with AYBA. And I'll talk about Ambush down a little bit further, and AYSA is also starting up. At the Adult Activity Center, we closed down for a while because the numbers were high with the small amount of activities that we had going on out there, and we have reopened the art wing. Cheryl, have you been out there?
No, I heard it wasn't, the letter we got said it didn't open until the 15th.
Oh, they pushed it out? Oh, I didn't realize they had pushed it out any further, so I apologize for that. Well, it is going to be reopening next week, so next week. So we're glad to be able to open those small rooms up and have small numbers in there and allow people to come back in and be creative again. The outdoor fitness classes, we're going to resume those the first week of March. If it's too cold in the mornings, we'll pop them into the afternoons. But those were very successful, and it got people out exercising and being outdoors and just letting.
Socializing.
Yeah, it's the socializing. Yeah, did you do any of those classes?
No, but
No.
some of my fellow artisans do them, and they miss that bad.
Yeah, it was exciting to see them out and just, being outdoors and around each other again. I know they really enjoyed that. And Silver Spokes will also resume the first week of March. So if you don't know what Silver Spokes is, that's our bike program for seniors, and they're tricycles, and we ride them on the Greenway. So we acquired 2 new ones, so I think we have a total of 9 now.
Oh.
Yeah, so we can have a big group out there. Yeah, so excited about that. In athletics, like I mentioned, youth spring sports is starting up, as well as our adult softball is starting up. And Ambush practices on the 22nd, and the games are going to start the first weekend of March. And we're in a little bit of a scramble right now because our coordinator, Tyler Spinnenweber, is a new dad. So he is home
Good.
with his little baby boy, Bennett. And so the rest of the staff is working on getting teams put together and communicating that to coaches and to parents. So we're right on track with that. At Preston Ridge, that's been my big project recently, is getting Preston Ridge up and ready to go. I'm working hand in hand with the YMCA. We have a punch list that's about that long still, and we keep adding to it and taking some things off. We're really excited about that facility. We already have a pretty good program for seniors, which is what we're going to be using that facility for during the day. And after school, we will be programming for youth, trying to not be in competition with what the Y is doing, so we're kind of picking and choosing that stuff very carefully. I also see this facility as our premier rental facility. So we're working on the policies and procedures for that and making sure that we have all the things that we need for that. It is officially slated to open on June 1st. I know that we've already had a ribbon cutting ceremony, but we are going to be having a grand opening. And we'll be doing that in conjunction, at an open house, not a grand opening, but an open house in conjunction with the Y. And I am also going to be having a meet and greet with my staff and their staff with their March meeting. We're going to coordinate that so we can get to know each other, and so that I can share the vision of what we have over there with the Y staff, other than Ryder, who is the assistant director over there right now. It's going to be a great facility. Every time I go in there, I can see all the possibilities in there. So staff is getting excited about it. I spent about 3 hours over there putting shelves together today and just stacking chairs and getting things organized. So it's going to be fun. So any questions about any of that?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing?
So last month, you guys saw the photos of the CVB fountain. Well, now the lights are finally, we got the lights hooked.
Oh. Go Tigers.
So, and, you know, like I said, there's an app on the phone, and so we can change the color of the lights for whatever season. This happens to be for Valentine's Day, so there you go.
Oh, sweet.
You know, that was clever, wasn't it?
So who has this app? Is that all on you, or, I mean, are you passing it off to the?
Yeah, no, myself and the people that service it. So I can pass it off to whoever wants it.
Cheryl will change it every day.
It's the same,
Anybody want to do that? Change up the lights?
and we have the same on the fountain out in front.
It's
Same
beautiful.
thing. We have app that we operate from the phone, so we can change the lights out
That's
there too.
amazing.
Some of the general projects we've been working on over at Encore. So you can see the uprooted tree. So we've had several of those. So the brawl and burlap trees on the right, Cheryl, you'd be happy.
I'd be happy
We are-
about that.
we are replacing
Happy
them.
about that.
So those were all replaced. We replaced 10 trees. We probably lost about 8 in the storms, but put about 10 back. Also, we're repairing some of the downlighting on all the trees that's in the path, the concrete path that's through there. So that was damaged during storms also. Out at Webb Ridge, they're doing a lot of, there's no real photos to show you, but they're doing just the annual pruning around the parking lots. They also added some additional trees for some of the ones that they had lost during storms.
I haven't been to this Encore Park. Has anybody been there?
Yeah, it's,
Well, good for you.
no.
Where is it exactly? Like, how do you drive there from here?
So it's right across the street from the amphitheater, pretty much.
But when I go to the amphitheater, I wind up parking in lot B, and I come in from like the Founder's Place, so I wouldn't go by it, 'cause that's
So-
where I wind up parking. I don't ever get VIP tickets.
So, I think it's isn't that Maxwell Road? Yeah, so you go up Maxwell Road, and Encore Parkway is about halfway down Maxwell Road before you get to West Side, and it's on the right. So you'll go up,
I turn that right,
and the park's on the left.
and then, okay, oh, but I thought that that was like an apartment complex on my left.
Well, there is a neighborhood, Serenade or whatever, so there is a neighborhood there. So you'll pass one entrance to the neighborhood, and then you'll see Encore on the left.
And is it marked? Has it got one of our cool,
Yeah.
okay. And I'm gonna go.
It's,
Actually,
It-
there's 2 signs.
Two signs.
Both sides. There's one closer to the subdivision, and there's one on Encore Parkway. So you
Okay, great. Sorry about that. Thank you.
no, it's, there's a lot of landscaped areas, you know, there's a lot of bed maintenance, and there's a nice little walk through the woods. You know,
Okay.
we took it over in July, and,
I remember seeing it, I drive that way to get to the mall, and I didn't see the park. I was like, oh, okay.
so, no, it's a big, it's good size, it's big, hilly. Let's see, I know I'm gonna do this wrong.
The easiest way to find it is when you leave the mall and you're coming back up Encore Parkway, don't turn on the west side, just keep going straight.
Right.
And then the park will be on your right when you
Okay.
wind up there. That's the easiest way to get there.
Okay.
That way you don't have to figure out where to turn on Maxwell, just go straight
Okay,
and Encore Parkway and see it.
okay, fair enough.
And it's easy parking right there on the street, you can get out and walk around,
Hold
around the park.
Here, roll it.
Is it about right here? Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, I got these on there. Oh, hold on a little. Yeah,
you
technical
go.
difficulties here. So over at the silos, you know, Cheryl, you probably remember this, the crabapple trees. And you can see the picture to the right. We did a rejuvenating prune over there, so we cut them back. Same thing with the bushes on the taller silos. Cut everything,
You just,
It's
you
up.
sent Nate out there to do them properly, or did you just hack at them?
no, hired a company to do it. Also, over there at the Village Tavern, there's an area behind there, it's about a quarter of a mile asphalt trail, really, that, you know, leads to, there's an apartment complex back there, but it's not really attached to it, so it's kind of the trail to nowhere. Eventually, it's gonna be part of the Alpha Loop, and we had just taken that over in, well, I guess it was June or something, we had purchased it, and, but we had actually just taken over the maintenance of it, like, here in the last couple of weeks. So if you look at the picture to the left, what happened was a tree had fallen and somebody complained, and, you know, so we went back there and come to find out that we own it. It's like, oh, okay, I guess we gotta maintain it now. So anyway, the picture to the right is, we sent a company down there.
Wow.
I know it looks like they just blew it off, but they did a lot more than that. They
No, it
cut
looks
stuff
great.
along the sides and everything, so. And, you know, of course, everybody's aware Tom Brady did win another Super Bowl in case.
Yeah, but he wasn't a Patriot, okay, just to be
He wasn't a
clear.
Patriot.
Okay, just.
No, but he's still Tom Brady.
Nah,
Yeah. But anyway, that concludes my report, if anybody has any questions.
So we having any trouble with urban campers on this hidden property behind the Village Tavern?
I mean, there was trash there because it hasn't been obviously maintained and all that, and honestly, since we've cleaned it up a couple, 3 weeks ago, I haven't really seen anything crazy.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Cheryl.
Well, you remember we had those urban campers, it was like, what is this?
Yeah, I thought that was over by that Honda.
Yes, remember that too?
It was a village.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
Good. For cultural services, I've got a list of the upcoming events, and I'd mentioned a few of these last time. I just kind of wanted to give everybody a reminder that we have the Tuskegee Airmen Show. It'll be a first show. This is an on-loan exhibit, and it'll be our first show in the community room here at City Hall. So that'll go up next week, and that is actually acknowledging Black History Month also. All of these events, we're trying to recognize that through the month. The G-Spin play, we decided to go virtual because of COVID. We just felt like we just weren't quite ready to pull the trigger on that as far as just going, you know, in the black box. So we're going virtual, and it'll be released February 19th. And so they've got all the props, and they're recording this week. Not Your Granny's Quilt exhibit. We've actually had a lot of people in the Art Center, not too many, spread out through the day, but we've had a lot of people in looking at the show. It's been actually really, really cool, and you really need to come by and look at it. They've spent a lot of work, and it's not just, I mean, literally, it's not just Your Granny's Quilt. It's really art. It's very vibrant in a lot of different styles. So Dorothy Norwood, we're going to be having a proclamation. I personally do not know her, but she is supposedly a well-known gospel singer that lives in Alpharetta. And Jean Andrews, who will be on our Cultural Arts Commission, wanted to acknowledge her 85 years of performing, and I didn't know we had a local artist like that. So he's involved in the music industry and is very aware of who lives in the surrounding area and Atlanta vicinity. So I thought that if you're able to come out that night, that'd be great.
What are the hours of the center itself?
During the week, it's 8:30 to 5, and we stay open for classes at night. So it just depends if we have classes going on. And then Saturdays are 9 to 2, so if you can't come in during that time. So.
Thank you.
What about this Tuskegee Airmen thing, is that, when is that open?
We're starting it on next week on February 15th through March 19th. That'll be
What are
in
the
there.
hours though that the building is open that you could come in during that?
Whenever City Hall's open, so it's 8:30 to 5, and then Fridays till 4:30, and then during council meetings, it'll be open.
And the Airmen Show will be open during council meetings?
Yeah. At the Art Center, one thing that we're doing, we're partnering with and actually helping to kind of, Arts Alpharetta will be doing a new event called Paint the Town. I wanted to explain it to you, it's a really unique event. It's one where you have artists all over the town. So it's dispersed, perfect thing during COVID. And they're going to pick locations and they're going to paint. And it's a 5-day event. And Arts Alpharetta, Nancy Murphy, I need to mention her name. She has worked really, really hard on pulling this together. And we're actually helping them get started this year, giving them seed money, and then they'll be on their own next year. And we're going to help just with the event planner portion, just a very small portion of that. But we're really excited because the CVB has a 5-day event to talk about, and it's a distancing event. So people paint over 3 days, artists, and they watch these paintings being done. And then what happened is Arts Alpharetta facilitates that at the different locations. They may have 30, upwards of 60 paintings. And then they'll bring them all in a gallery showcase. We're going to bring them at the Arts Center Gallery right now. It's what we're planning. And it'll take place in May. And then people buy the paintings. And all of the proceeds from that go back to the arts in Alpharetta.
It's nice.
It's perfect timing.
You might want to just elaborate a little bit about that. In that these painters are going to be all over town, so they're going to be painting like restaurants and things at Wills Park and things that people can really relate to locally. So it's, it's never been done here.
That's neat.
And the artists travel. I mean, some of these artists are very well-known they'll travel here and they pull them in. So it's a very prestigious kind of event too. And we'll have local artists. It'll be a mixture. So we're kind of excited about that, kicking that off. And it's gonna be in May. I think we're planning on the 3rd weekend in May. Nancy's really heading this. It's an Arts Alpharetta initiative that we're trying to help support, and I'll have more details on it later for you. The Arts Center gallery shows, one exciting initiative we were finally able to pull off. We've been trying to do it for a while. And this is Nancy again. That's another thing. She's kind of like our gallery coordinator. And she works, just so you know, she works part-time for the city, and she puts on her hat for Arts Alpharetta. So she does both. But on the gallery end of things, we are now doing our gallery shows. When a show leaves, it's going virtual so people can experience it for a little while. And so we're trying to do that. And they've partnered with a high school student that is going to be doing this as part of his internship. And he was filming, and he did an amazing job. So we have one show.
I'm sorry. What is the high school student doing?
He's filming. He did the film.
Shooting the show? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's pretty neat. He's from Cambridge. He was looking
I've
for
been
that.
putting all the work up as a virtual gallery on the website, so I would know about it.
I wish I could remember his name, so I'm sorry I don't have his name right now. Nancy pulled him in, but he does amazing work. So look for those too. If you miss a show, you can go back and look at those. We have been doing a lot of 3 public art reviews. And the way this works is there's some public art, like a mural. I'll go ahead and give you an example. On the Border has a mural on the side of their building. Their design is approved in the design and review board. And then they will send us the art portion of it to review and approve. So we actually have a public art committee from Arts Alpharetta. There's 2 people on that committee right now, and we review and go through and approve based on design, based on the proximity, who's viewing the mural. We have different qualifiers, and so that's been a little bit busier lately. Now that we're transitioning to review the art. So
Is this different than the arts group that we didn't?
The commission?
The commission, remember?
Yeah, it's different.
it
This is
is.
sort of an interim.
This is an interim until the Cultural Arts Commission is up and running.
Oh.
We'll be bringing that up to them later. But we'll still meet with Arts Alpharetta because they're going to give the first review and give their input before they go up in front of the commission.
Oh, okay.
So,
And to give you an update on the Arts Commission, we're waiting on one final appointment to the commission. We have 6 members that have been appointed by the mayor and council. We have 1 left, and it's on the agenda for Monday night for that last member to be appointed. And then once that happens, then we will bring the group together, get them the bylaws, and move. We're going to move quickly once we get the 7 members on the commission. So that's what we're literally waiting for everybody to get on board.
I was like, wait, that sounds like
I could see that being confusing. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, Omnium Gatherum, our outdoor exhibit, we're adding a new sculpture, and this is Miles. She is she's made out of gears, I believe, all car parts, and she's 15 feet tall, and we're looking for a one-year home for her. After she lives here for a year, she's supposed to go off to Brazil. Someone in Brazil is buying her, and they're working out logistics on that, but she'll stay here for about a year. And we're looking at either placing her in Brook Street Park or along the Alpha Loop. Some of that location will be determined by cost for install at that location, because when you're going into the middle of a park, through grass, over bushes, it takes more to lift it to install her, and she's pretty heavy. But we have a new sculpture that'll be out pretty soon. General report is we've been working on grants a lot. We've been trying to find money, and we have received money over this past year, but you have to do those reports. So we submitted our reports to Fulton County for the Music Match Grant and A Song Can Change Your Life podcast. And then we actually, within the same 3 weeks, had to submit our new grants for the following year. So we did both of those, so hopefully we probably won't know till about May. We'll find out if we'll get money for later this year. We're very actively, and I'll have more information in historic preservation. We're working a lot on activating the log cabin. Our original plan was to have it activated. Just last month, we were planning to have it activated for camps in May. We moved it up a month because the Historical Society has an event that they want to do. And so we're going to try to been meeting with Kurt over there, and Morgan's been involved, but we're going to get that activated and then just get the basics done. Kurt may be talking about it, but maybe not, maybe later. Just basic stuff, cleaning out the site and all that.
The certificate of occupancy, right? That happened some time ago.
Yeah, he's just cleaning out like underbrush and making the park area just a little cleaner and surrounding, and getting some of the old wood left over that the Historical Society had from the building. So I'll give you more on that as we go through. But that's it.
Any questions?
I have a question. So my husband's also on a board, and he was trying to sign up for the clay class.
Okay.
And he got to the point, he made himself a thing, blah, 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 and then he got to the point where they wanted him to pay, and he couldn't see how he could enter something because he's a board person. He's not, does he have to pay for that? I thought that was the.
He needs to go through us.
Oh, he needs to call
He'll
you.
have to go through us, right? He can, and if you call me, I'll connect you to the right person. But we have to help him through that on the back end.
I'll help Kim out a little bit too. Recreation staff is awaiting a list of updated board members from the city clerk. We've got a few new appointees we're trying to still get some information on. So as soon as that's wrapped up, we'll be able to get them the list. But for now, yeah, just have him work through Kim. Yeah, but yeah, it's on third floor City Hall, not on this department.
But even if they had the list, though, they'd still have to call her, because there's no place for you to enter.
There's not.
I'm a board member.
I was gonna ask about that too.
Oh,
So
you
I-
did? Okay.
Yeah, I went on the site as well to look.
We just go in and we'll do it for you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I got one more question.
Oh, sure.
We did the special needs grant thing like September-ish of 2019. Obviously, last year was a little off. Are we going to redo that again this year, or is that off the table for a while?
I think I'll either let Morgan, is the special needs grant, the grant that we did, just like the arts grant, the city did? And that's what they're asking.
We have not, that money is still in our budget book, but we have not been allowed to release that grant. It's still in our budget, but we have not been able to move forward. We still don't know if we'll be able to do that.
So once you know it, then you'll get applications and do the whole process again?
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
Good evening.
How are you?
Everybody's doing okay. So here are a few highlights for project management for the month. We'll start with park development. And always at the top of the list is Mid-Broadwell Park trying to get the restrooms installed and operational.
Hallelujah.
The restroom actually is going to be delivered on Thursday. But we had to go back to redesign on the sewer line. So it'll, the restroom's going to be there, but you can't use it. So it'll probably be April before we get that done. But actually, though, even though this process has kind of been frustrating, we're going to end up with a better, a better product for the citizens with a better sewer line and so forth. So, and some of the discoveries that we found out, if we hadn't have found those out, we would probably be snaking that line pretty much twice to three times a year. So we're glad that it happened. It's unfortunate that the timeline's just kind of been extended.
Well, were you just using the old sewer line from the house that was there?
That was the intent. There was an old sewer line there that we were going to tap into. Unfortunately, that sewer line was not big enough to tap into the main line. It's a 4-inch line. It has to be a 6-inch line. So where we planned to tap into it was only a 4-inch line. And of course, it's all good. We redirected the sewer line. It's going to actually have better fall. It'll flow better, and gravity and sewer is great. So it's going to be better. But we're just going to have to be a little bit more patient in at least getting that part of the park operational. So, Innovative Academy, we're about to go into high gear there. The winter months have kind of slowed things down. The sandblasting and also the athletic lighting removal are kind of on delay until the weather and the weather conditions get better. Once that happens, you're going to see the demo of the building under the bleachers, sandblasting, and that's going to happen pretty much overnight because it's going to be the same company doing that. And then Mirror Electric's going to be doing the athletic lighting, when we won't bog down on the field. So those are moving along. It'll probably be March before those really kind of kick into high gear.
When do you think you could activate the fields out there? Is it going to be the fall of this year, do you think?
I'm sorry?
When you could actually activate the fields out there?
We plan to activate the fields fully in the fall.
Okay.
With the intent, it maybe even having them ready for some limited use for the stadium side in June.
Okay.
So, but talking with Christine, I think that they really are still targeting the fall to really have the entire area, usable. That's the multipurpose field, the stadium field, at least those two areas. And as we're trying to figure out the baseball fields, the softball field, they could also be ready to go.
Okay.
As well. So,
thanks.
Now we are also going to be doing. What we're focusing on now is getting a maintenance and a storage facility up and running at that area. Because the Innovative Academy, even though you got the athletic, it's also kind of a hub for the downtown district and the maintenance. As this area is growing, we're adding parks and so forth. The intent is to have a maintenance team that can support that area, but also support the growing downtown district and the parks. So that's what we're going to be doing. Hopefully in March we'll be able to move into there. You can see that the metal structure on the aerial right here, the metal structure I'm talking about is at the far end of the stadium. That it's in pretty good shape. We've already done a phase 1 and we're about to add the gutters and so forth. And then once that's done, maybe some roof work we'll be moving it in and starting to activate that area. So
Are you going to keep the building in the front left or the bottom here? The
bottom
concrete
left,
block?
yeah, the storage building on the bottom left, that is future maintenance / storage. And as we move on, that one's going to be a little bit more challenging because of where the location is. And as we move on, we'll make some, I guess, permanent decisions about, okay, is this metal structure going to be the maintenance facility, or are we going to share it? I think another thing is too, once we kind of get the program going on, we're going to find out where's the best place to put the storage especially for the activities going on there. So it could very well mean that the one at the old field house on the lower end could be better for storage for the athletic programs.
Okay.
Like soccer and whatever program. So we're kind of wait and see, but we know for sure there's plenty of room to have a small maintenance area as well as storage in the metal structure at the top of the property.
Can we just go back to that for just a second? What's the plan for the track? Or is it just asphalt, or are you putting in that cushy stuff, or what's the plan for the track?
Now, the plan for the track, well, first of all, the track is the last thing that we're going to address.
Okay.
The plan for the track is keep it asphalt. We won't be, the plan, unless somebody comes in and partners with us, the plan is to have the old rubber coating taken off and then resurface it with an asphalt, and use it as a walking track. Once again, if somebody wants to come in and partner and help us to get that into making a high school regulation track or whatever, and can fork out some money to help us do that, we're always open to those options. So.
Because we don't have a track, do we, in the city, like a proper track for training, track and field?
Not in high schools.
No, right?
We do not, Michelle. We don't have a track facility or a track program. Now, pre-COVID, there was a private high school in Alpharetta that was interested in talking with us about the track program and being partners, but that has kind of, the cost of that to put in the track that the high schools need, which is that, I think your technical term was a squishy surface.
Yeah.
To put that in is very expensive. So I don't know if we can restart those talks or not. We'll certainly try, but
Isn't track an AAU kind of program too in some areas where kids do it younger than high school?
yes, yeah. And it is our hope to have a track and field program, for kids, just like we do the baseball and football and all of that.
Great.
And that's obviously the location, but right now the track is the last priority that we have in that facility. So it'll an opportunity will arise. We just have to be ready for it.
Moving on to the Wills Park Master Plan, in the maintenance facility, we're in the final comment phase of the civil plans, hoping that community development can kind of give us this final approval. That's been a challenge as well, but debating on the location, trying to figure out the difference between a stream and a ditch. By the time it's all said and done, this is going to be the best maintenance metal building in the world. The Equestrian Center, on a positive note, the Equestrian Center timeline has caught up with the maintenance facility timeline, so they'll be built around the same time. So it's coming along. Community Development has really been really supportive of trying to help us. Obviously they got. We still have to go through the permitting process like everybody else, and we got to follow the rules. And they've been very accommodating to try to help us and keep this thing moving along. But it's just one of those challenging, unique areas. If you've ever been back there where the facility is going to go, there's just a lot of things to navigate and figure out. I think we've got them figured out, and hopefully we'll be able to go to bid and maybe get council approval like late spring. So we're excited about that, and we're keeping our fingers crossed. Old Rucker Rock Park, you know that we had some rain events last August that caused the garage to collapse and also messed with the integrity of the retaining wall. So we've got that approved. We had to get civil plans on that, or because of the height of the wall. So that's been approved. We had a pre-construction meeting yesterday, and we're excited about getting that taken care of. It's going to be a little challenging for a couple weeks with Amanda and her program, but weather permitting, we should get this thing done within 2 weeks.
Mostly parks on the road anyways, don't they? Amanda, does your group park back there where the wall is?
Yes, guests to the program, participants park on the road. We just park back where the wall is.
Yeah.
The great news about this,
So the challenge is not with the parking, the challenge is gonna be with the fence, because the fence that surrounds the farm, it protects the farm from poachers and from deer and that kind of stuff, has been compromised as well, because of, so that fence is gonna have to be adjusted, so there's gonna be a time period where that fence is down, and we're gonna try to put orange fencing up to keep the deers out, but that, it's gonna be a little challenging in there between the time we have to take the fence down and we can do the work to the wall and then get the fence back. So that's the challenging part.
yeah. And more importantly, that tree save, that orange fence that'll go up will protect people from walking off into a hole. The good news is council graciously gave us a budget amendment to pay for this, because this was not something, it was an emergency funding and nothing that was planned on and so forth. So they graciously allowed us some money to pay that, so we won't take a hit in our park improvement budget because of this unexpected event. So we're happy with that and we're thankful. Looking ahead, we are going to be resurfacing the tennis courts. We're going to be replacing a playground at fields 1 through 4. It's pretty old, probably 25 to 30 years old, depending on which element you look at. Beaver Creek Park, if you don't know where that is, Beaver Creek Park is, if you look down, and I meant to put a circle here, but if you look down to the left-hand side, there's a pond. If you're driving past the Emily Apartments, past Mansell Road, the old Wild Wings, Buffalo Wild Wings, you drive to, there's a cul-de-sac, and there is a Georgia Power easement. We were deeded this property several years ago, and there's a pathway that actually connects you to the Greenway. That is collapsing. The infrastructure is washing out underneath there, and so we're going to have to go into some design, do some discovery, find out what's going on, and then hopefully it won't be that big of an impact, but we do have some funding in our Greenway capital repairs that would hopefully pay for that. So that is in the early stages. We're seeking the proposal to be approved by the mayor, and hopefully we'll get that approved and start that process. And of course, Kim mentioned the log cabin, and of course we are going to be replacing 2 gators and a tractor here in the next month. You have any questions?
Okay.
What's a gator? Those little green things you see riding around the park. Yeah, that's the gator. Yeah.
They're called
Those are
gators
really cool,
because
by
that's
the way.
company that makes them?
I'm sorry?
Why are they called gators? Is that the name?
It's
of
just
the
what
company?
John Deere called them.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But now it's just like, it's like Coke. Everybody calls whatever it is a gator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's not made by John Deere.
But they are actually going to be a gator. We are actually buying the John Deere, so. Any other questions?
I think we're good. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Director Morgan?
Got a little packet for you. You can look ahead, I'd rather you not, but I'll leave that up to the integrity of the individual commission members.
My guilt. Does he do that to you guys?
So, it's good to be here. All the fun stuff's already been talked about, so what I've got is not really that much fun, but we got to talk about it. A couple of things I want to point out is, one is, Cheryl, you mentioned urban camping, and we've had issues with urban camping over the years at Wills Park, at Rock Mill Park, and even up at the Silos Park. We've had that. So me and Eric have walked that new park. Don't see any evidence of that. Doesn't mean that somebody's not going to do that tomorrow, but it's now on our list of patrolling, and we just take a look at it. So it's not a major issue, but it's something we keep an eye on. And the grants, Jet, you asked about the grants. They're not going away. They're just frozen right now. I don't know if we're going to just skip a year, but, you know, the intent is not for them to go away, but just to be frozen. And the other thing that I want to mention is that, and it's on my list, is that technically the mid-year budget has not been approved yet. It's still got the mayor and council, it's on their list. Everybody knows it's on the list, and everybody has nodded at the retreat, but it has not officially been allocated yet. So that's just a technicality I wanted to bring out. I can take this off. So in case you didn't see it, the big tree at the corner of Milton and Canton is now gone. That was a water oak. You know, if anybody asks, I've got the report, I have the pictures, and I have all the information in my office and available to email to let everybody know that tree was dead. It was in fact dead. If you look at the stump, it doesn't look like it was, but it was. It had a long name like that was in it, and they actually did a seismographic test on that. So they pinged the tree and they found out how much dead wood there was inside of the tree, and it was declared a very dangerous tree, and so that's why we took it down. So we did not want to. It's one of the, you know, it was certainly a specimen tree and one of the prettier trees, but it was a hazard according to the city arbors. At council this coming Monday night, we've got a few things on the agenda I want to tell you about.
Can I just stop for just a second? That tree is on city property? Do
Yes.
we own that?
We own that whole corner right there, of Canton and Milton. It's going to be a park. It'll be a small pocket park.
It's not one of the pieces of property I see in the newspaper that they're trying to sell.
No.
So we're going to make it a park.
Yes.
Did the arborist say that we had to replace that tree with something else?
I'm sorry?
Did the arborist say we had to
Well,
replant?
we will, but what we've got to do is we've got to plan the park. So we'll have to go through the whole thing of planning it, let the public know what we're going to do there. So we haven't done that yet. We're kind of, it'll have to obviously fold into the development that is going down there. But I know that there has been, one of the things that have been talked about is that there be a spine that goes from that corner to the far corner on Old Roswell. So there'll be like a little alleyway there. But I don't know if that's what's going to be, but we'll certainly, as we are planning that park, look at replanting. So no other trees are supposed to come down in there right now. Okay. So at council on Monday night, we've got quite a few things on the agenda. They are going to talk about mid-year budget adjustments. We're going to, right now, we're going to get $30,000 to replace that wall out at Old Rucker Park. And then there's also going to be they're planning for a $42,000 adjustment for the second half of this year for the new parks that we took on this year. We took on Encore Park, Thompson Street Park, the Alpha Loop, and Windward Park this year. And so they've made a mid-year budget of $42,000, which next year will mean we'll have $84,000 in the budget to take care of those parks. So that's barely enough, but we very much appreciate that, because we were literally taking care of those parks out of other parts of our budget. So we're real thankful for that mid-year adjustment. We also have on the agenda, and I almost hate to mention it again, but the discussion about town green and turfing town green. We are going to have a couple of samples of a couple of surfaces that we're proposing. They're going to be 5 by 5. They're going to be complete with the sand, the infield in it, so everybody can see it and actually be able to feel it and all like that. It'll be here sometime. Both of it's going to be 5 by 2, 5 by 5, 5 foot by 5 foot sample spots. When that's in place, I'll let everybody know, because it'll stay up for a couple of days, and you can come and look at that. The first sheet on your list is the possible bond referendum items. We are scheduled to discuss those at council meeting on Monday night as part of a workshop as well. So these are the items that we are at this point in time proposing for a possible bond referendum. So I don't have any idea how much it's going to be. The bond's going to be for, or even if there is going to be a bond. There's just talk about it, and this is I'll be discussing each one of these in a little bit of detail, and I'll be glad to do that tonight if anybody wants any details about any of the particular items. do you want me to talk about them, or you want me to just wait and see if there's any questions?
Yeah, why don't we wait till the end and let people digest it and come back to it?
All right. And then if you'll flip over, the next thing we're going to talk about Monday night is special events. It doesn't take very long to talk about what's happened in the events in the past year. Nothing. You know, it's just, you know, but we're looking forward now to 2021 and 2022 is what we're going to do. And we're kind of using that. This is, as I mentioned with the grants, we're kind of on hold, and we're using this on hold time to talk about the events. The information that I gave you tonight is just kind of an overview of where we are, how much money we're spending on the different events, and on all like that, as well as some proposals moving forward. And there's some more. We're going to make more recommendations than just what's right here. But the main recommendation is that we're going to take our 3 big events, which are Taste of Alpharetta, Wire and Wood, and 4th of July. Thank you. And we're going to recommend that we put an RFP out for that and see if there is some special events companies that want to take that on and find sponsorships for it and generate money for themselves. That's a lot of cities are doing that with their big events, like the Taste of Atlanta. It's all done with sponsorships, very little money coming in from the city. So we're recommending that. We're not giving up the editorial control of the events, if you will, but we're just going to look to farm out to some of these bigger special events companies to do that. Now, we would do it individually. We would do we wouldn't do an all-in. It wouldn't do all the events. They would be doing individual. We're also going to be recommending several things. We're going to recommend is that we don't, as we're looking at events moving forward, that we look at smaller events. No, you know, we don't need all of these big events. We want to look at more smaller events that are memorable, authentic, and meaningful to our residents. You know, where we have, you know, smaller crowds of 200 and 250, and this has nothing to do with COVID. This is what people are telling us. They want to have the smaller events and the better experiences. So we're going to be trying to move not away from any events, because we're not canceling any of our events except Food Truck Alley. Food Truck Alley is not going to be coming back. Okay? Food Truck Alley was designed early on to encourage people to come downtown, to downtown Alpharetta when there wasn't but 1 or 2 restaurants. Now there are lots of restaurants in downtown Alpharetta. We've been hearing from the restaurants themselves is that a Food Truck Alley night is a competition for them. You're bringing in 7 restaurants and competing for us. So we're going to be looking at is there a way that we can do some things maybe on Thursday night with some entertainment, move some music around the city on different nights, still encourage people to come, but not to compete with our restaurants with the Food Truck Alley.
I have to say, though, that the food trucks bring a different vibe than the restaurants.
Right.
Their stuff is handheld or in a little basket.
Right.
Okay, that's not what comes out of homes or, you know, those other places. Those are dinner, you know, you sit down for dinner.
Right.
So, I think that was one of the appeals to the
Right. Well, one of the things that we're going to do, and we're thinking through this, and we'll be bringing it back to the group, is that we love the idea of food trucks, but just not downtown. Is there a better place to do food trucks? You know, should we do food trucks on the east side of town? Should we do food trucks at the mall because we're trying to redo the mall? We can move people around with the food trucks. So food trucks aren't going to go away entirely. We're just not going to have them every Thursday night and compete with our restaurants, because that's what the restaurants are saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See that.
So we'll be talking about the events. Like I said, the big thing is those events are trying to move away from the city being so financially responsible for the big events. That's what we're trying to move away from. The other thing that, let's see.
Morgan?
Yeah.
I apologize. I was looking at the word 4th of July when I said that. It's Brook Street.
Brook Street, yeah.
I'm
Okay.
so sorry.
Yes, it wasn't 4th of July. It was Wire and Wood, Brook Street Concerts, and the Taste of Alpharetta. 4th of July. And we're also going to be recommending, Monday night I'm going to recommend that the Taste of Alpharetta be officially canceled. So I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, but we've got to officially announce it and make sure that we're all on the same page. So we're gonna hopefully do that Monday night. And then we've also got to decide, the next big decision is what we're going to do with July the 4th. You know, we're going to have a July the 4th celebration. And are we going to commit to that July the 4th celebration? My recommendation will be, unless it changes between now and Monday night, is that we should probably think about just having the fireworks on July the 4th. Not try to have any events, just have the fireworks and let people decide how close they want to be and don't try to do anything, but to have the fireworks. That's just, as of right now, based on the numbers dropping and whatever the numbers are going to be. Another thing, I'm glad I kept talking, because another thing we're going to talk about Monday night is how do we decide if events are going to be held or not. And so we are going to take the governor's executive order, and we're going to connect dots in the executive order, because he talks about threshold, the threshold numbers. He talks about gathering numbers, and if you take all of that, and what we want to do is say when those threshold numbers, and there's a report that is put out every Tuesday and every Friday by Fulton County that says what the threshold number is for the city of Alpharetta. How many per 100,000? When that number gets below 100, then we can have events. If it's above 100, we can't have any events over 50 per the governor's order. That gives that way, if a good example is like the Rotary, they want to know whether they can have Memorial Day or not. If we have this in place, we can tell Rotary, you can plan your event. But if a week prior to Memorial Day, those numbers haven't dropped, you can't have your event. You got to go virtual. So, because right now they're looking at us like it's kind of like, they were looking at us like we have these great grand answers. We don't know what's going to be made, but at least then everybody can decide whether they want to spend that money to plan and the effort to plan, or whether they want to pull back. So I'm glad I kept talking, because that's a major recommendation that we have. And that way we can point people to a number and say, there's the number. That's a number that's, we don't have to interpret, we don't have to advise anybody. We can just base that number.
So what is the delay in the statistics? Is it weekly for the prior week, or is it insofar as?
James probably knows the answer.
I'm just curious.
So the stats are based on the previous 14-day period. Okay. So it's every 14 days. And you will see the numbers as they're released, they're still considered preliminary. So you may still see some adjustments in those from time to time. But the way you really address it is for your incidence rate to fall to 100 per 100,000 or less for 2 consecutive weeks. And right now, I haven't looked at today's numbers. Those are I usually get those on Wednesday morning. But on Friday, the great news, let me back up for a second. So on January 22nd, we hit our peak, right? We were at 920 per 100,000 in Alpharetta. At that point, we were we were the second highest, and then the week before, then on the 22nd, Milton surpassed us, but nobody was even close to Palmetto, who was at 1,300. So as of Friday, we had fallen to 542.1 per 100,000. So the numbers are dropping rapidly in that post-holiday surge, right? So if you go back to October 3rd, we were at 80 point something. We were below 100, right? So we were in pretty good shape then, and we would have been able to have events at that point. Based on the rate of decline right now, by summer, we should be in good shape. Now, you've got some other factors at play, right? We've got the rollout of the vaccine. Johnson & Johnson submitted for what's referred to as the Janssen candidate vaccine. That's a single shot. And because of the way it can be transported and stored, it'll be more like going to get a flu shot. So that will certainly have an impact. That's on the plus side. On the negative side, both of the two new, much more contagious strains are active in Georgia. So what that rate of decline will look like, I mean, there's all these variables that come into play. And as you can tell, I've been living in this for a while. We'll have an update for council, speaking to our overall operations and all of this stuff Monday night, and then Morgan's going to follow up with how it's going to impact events moving forward. But we are very closely watching all of that.
And because of all what he said, that's why we want a number to point to. That's it. That's exactly. I couldn't have done it better myself, James, even like we'd have planned that.
Thank you for the detail.
Right.
Yeah, I knew I was here for some reason, right?
And then, so that's Monday night at council. The following Monday night, which is the 22nd, we're going to be talking about possible wedding venues with council as a workshop. This came up. This was actually a brainchild of the mayor, who sits on the Convention and Visitors Bureau's executive or board of directors, and he was hearing the reports that the CVB were giving about the percentage, the rate, occupancy rate. That's what they were looking. Where pre-COVID they were at 76, 77 consistently. COVID, it dropped down to as low as 16%. Now it has crawled its way back to 40%, and it's kind of started leveling out a little bit at 40%. But one of the things that they reported on at the board meeting that has been good for the hotels is leisure travel on the weekends, because people know Alpharetta's open, the restaurants are open, so people are literally coming from Columbus and Macon and that, spending the weekend here, so they can get out a little bit. And the other thing is weddings. Weddings are starting to pick back up. And the hoteliers were talking about that the weddings were kind of their bread and butter right now. They were focusing on weddings. So the mayor kind of came up with this idea, why don't we look around at city-owned property? Is there anywhere that we can enhance the wedding experience to help those hoteliers out? So he charged staff, along with the staff from the Convention and Visitors Bureau, to look at everything in the city. And we did. We looked at it, and we came down, and we narrowed it down to 4 sites. And those are the 4 sites at the 22nd that we're going to talk about. And they're presented in here real quickly, and I want to be very cognitive of the time, but we're talking about the Mansell House. Everybody says, well, the Mansell House is already rented for wedding. Yeah, they are, but nobody's renting the Mansell House for wedding because it needs some work. It needs to be I know it's a historic facility, but it needs to be updated a little bit. It needs some additional landscaping. It needs the quality of around there. If you're going to try to attract the weddings that we're taught, the A-class weddings, the people that plan a month or so out, not the ones that just decide this weekend that they're going to get married. You'll see there, we took some pictures of it, and if you keep flipping over, you flip over to the next page, it tells you what we think we need to do to the Mansell House to bring it up to that level, to a tune of about $11,500. So then we talked about the second place that we were going to think of, that we think is almost camera ready, is the formal gardens here at City Hall, right outside, directly on the other side of this this building. There is a couple little things we need to do. Most of that's landscaping. Again, $7,500 to get that up so that it is showcase quality. The third place that we are saying we look at is the Art Center lawn out in front of the Art Center. It is the Art Center is just absolutely a gorgeous building. I always said it was one of the worst libraries I've ever been in, but it's one of the best art centers I've ever been in. It was supposed to be an art center when it was born. It just took a while to grow into it. So we think that outside is just absolutely gorgeous. Again, with very little, we can get that up and running. And the biggest part of that is some kind of backdrop we would like to have over on the other side of the building, so that there would be a place for the weddings to have a backdrop. But again, we were thinking that could be a nice piece of art. If we could talk them into putting a piece of art that could be used as a backdrop, then it meets 2 criteria. We need some more art around the Art Center, and we could do the weddings on it. And then the last The last place that we looked at, that we brought forward for the recommendation, was at Rock Mill Park. In Rock Mill Park, there's already a little amphitheater, if you will, a small little amphitheater outdoor classroom, and it's just enhancing that and adding some screening around that, and that's why you jump up to the 27, because there's a little bit more screening that we would need to do there. There were 5 things on the list. Originally we presented to mayor and council at the retreat, 5 locations, the 5th being Union Hill. But Union Hill needed a great deal of work, and it was in the $68,000 to $70,000 range to get Union Hill up and running. So that's been removed, and we're going to present that on Monday night. So we'll just see what mayor and council wants to do from that. So just, if you have any questions.
The idea is just for the wedding, not the ceremony, right? It's not for the reception.
Not for the reception, no. Not that they couldn't have a reception in the Arts Center if they reserved it and paid the price. But we're looking at just the wedding itself. Really, what the mayor and a couple other folks were saying is we really have some good places in Alpharetta to have a reception. You know, some of the bars and restaurants could really house a reception, but there's no good place really to have a small, intimate 125-person wedding.
We have a lot of churches.
Yeah, but you know, right now in the wedding industry, they'll tell you people are getting away from churches and going with Hallmark weddings. You know, all the weddings. I don't know if anybody watches the Hallmark channel, but you know, somebody always gets married in a Hallmark movie, and it's always in some great outdoor location with this kind of stuff. So that's kind of what we're going for. Is we're going for that Hallmark moment.
Well, you could do quite a wedding right out back here with the band shell.
Yeah. It made our list, but it's hard to bring in. I think the one that we really hated taking off the list was Union Hill, because there was so many possibilities there at Union Hill. But the cost of that, it would take a lot of weddings to recoup $70,000.
Take a lot less than you think from what we paid recently.
So,
a lot less than you think, yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, and then I know y'all will be glad to hear this, but on March the 1st, we will be workshopping the park rules with the city council for, I hope, the last time. And I say that not tongue in cheek. I hope it's the last time. So that's all. That ends my report, Mr. Chairman. If anybody's got any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer.
Do you have any questions on the bond referendum or anything to talk about?
And this is very preliminary, right? This is just a general list.
General. Yeah, absolutely. It really is the same things that we were talking about last year, just moved up a year. There's nothing new on this list that we haven't talked about with this group and with mayor and council, you know, before.
All right, if we don't have any other questions.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions up here? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.